Hey everybody, welcome back to Hard for Games. My name is Tony, and keep it in line with the different prototype and dev content that we've been showing you guys, I wanted to showcase an N64 development cartridge. This one specifically is Hercules, the Legendary Journey, which was released in 2000. And a big thank you to Andrew for letting us borrow this. So if you've never seen one of these before, it is what it sounds like. It's a development cartridge. It's a cartridge that was used by the developers for debugging and testing and development, right? And occasionally these things were, games were flashed to them and developers would send them off as like preview copies to magazines. So let's take a look at this thing. So as you can see, Blues Brothers used to be on this cartridge, but not anymore. Now it's actually Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, for of course the Nintendo 64. So as you can tell, these were kind of used and reused, right? And the developers just kind of like scribbled notes on top of them. It says preview, and then it has a date, 5/08/2000. Hercules was released in the year 2000. Titus Software Corporation. Titus, obviously responsible for Blues Brothers and Hercules. And if you ever played Blues Brothers, you know that it was just awful. And Titus also was responsible for Superman 64. So you kind of see a pattern here, especially if you've ever played Hercules. It's kind of like a really dumbed down Legend of Zelda, basically. Moving on, there's a telephone number and some notes on the bottom here. NTSC, another date, 29/99. And then it says 32 with some information up here. This is how much space is on the actual cartridge. And then 32 is on the back of this as well. So it's interesting, these things again were used for developers. Sometimes they would have games flash to them and they send them to like review magazines, that kind of thing. So sometimes they were internal, sometimes they were sent out. My guess, because this is so like kind of, written to and rewritten to, I would imagine that it wasn't sent out to a magazine. I would imagine that this would just kind of be an internal thing. So a couple of notes about this cartridge before we dive into it. This version of Hercules is what's known as kind of like a final run or a final print, something like that. Basically, there's nothing different between this game and the final game, except for some cool debug features that are within the game. So, for example, if you're a debugger or a tester or something like that, and you want to test a very specific part of the game, you're going to want to be able to skip to that part of the game, and you can level select in this, and again, I'll showcase that in a second. Secondly, I also wanted to give a quick PSA. These things are very easily deletable. So if you happen across one, make sure it's backed up before you power it on, okay? Either talk to the person that you purchased it from to see if there's a ROM available, or talk to someone on assembler. You can talk to me. There are people that you can speak to figure out how to properly dump these, because you want to make sure it's backed up. Again, people have lost prototypes just by playing them. They click some sort of a button or something happens, they don't know, and then boom, it's gone, right? So as you can see here, it's basically just Hercules, but there's kind of two neat features. One is there is a moon jump. And it's pretty awesome when he falls from a pretty high height. You can hear very sort of wailing scream. Now what's cool about this is you can get to areas they never intended for you to get to, and it also kind of lets you cheat through the level. And it also kind of shows you where there's collision detection, where there's not, where there are walls, where there actually aren't walls. It also kind of helps you kind of glitch out the game a little bit as well, which is kind of neat, I guess. Here I am as good old Aeolus, and I've actually jumped up onto this sort of elevated side ledge along this pathway in this obviously very snowy landscape. And this allows me to go into this area that he shouldn't be going into, past this boulder that he shouldn't be able to lift or move or get past. So what I've done here is I've actually jumped up on the ledge alongside this path, and I'm avoiding the warp area into the next zone, into the next area. So since I'm walking past this point, the game never recognizes that I should be moving on to a different area, and I just keep going past where the developers wanted me to see. Other than that, there is a level select, right? So of course, if you're a debugger and you're trying to go through the different levels, you might want to have to check one specific part of one specific level, something like that. You don't have to play through the game or backtrack or this or that. It's a waste of time. So you know, press your button, you go through your level select, figure out what you want, and you go right there. So that is the debug version of Hercules, the Legendary Journeys. Basically the same as the retail version, so I didn't showcase too much gameplay because, again, it's just me hopping around and floating about and falling and that kind of stuff. Now that said, you know, there are other leaked development debug ROMs out there. You know, if there's something specific that you guys would like to see, let us know in the comments below. Aside from that, thank you very much everyone for subscribing. Thank you for clicking that notification button up top that lets you know when our videos are coming out. As we like to call it, the real subscribe button. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a share, and we will see you guys next time.